Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome forward to the Jet Propulsion Lyrics Podcast. You have me, M. General Sherman Kalapsar, on your afternoon. Now, sitting here with my man, Deshaun. But he goes by,
Prophetic poet.
all right, prophetic poet. So, usually, we're just discussing, this podcast just deals with hip hop in Chicago, but, hip hop in Chicago goes worldwide.
Absolutely.
All right. So, let us know your origin story. Where do you hail from? Where you come up from?
Origin story, Chicago bred, born and raised, South Side, forever. Just pretty much started really getting into music as something that was a way to really show the power of what I could do with my voice.
Okay.
And to really just utilize that to the fullest capacity, because really when thinking about it, you never really pay attention to how powerful music is in the time from when you're listening to it, because everybody is just like going through so many different things, and when they hear a song and hear certain words that resonate with them, it like really touches them to make people feel like, if you ever had that moment where it's like, man, I feel like they made that album for me. You know what I'm saying? Like it perfectly gave the story everything that people should be able to get away from it. But starting off, born and raised in Chicago, coming from the South Side, just pretty much utilizing the power of my voice with my music.
Okay. So coming up, what were some of the things that fed you, as far as your outlook? Because you got the name pro,
Prophetic poet.
prophetic poet. Sorry about that. Prophetic poet. So that entails a vision, an outlook. So what kind of things?
Pretty much what comes into that is just something that I feel like with what I could do with my crack at it is change the narrative.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If possible, to really show like we have so many different things coming out of Chicago with all sides from north, east, west, and south.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like we've gotten to a point where we've kind of seen one thing be the stagnant way of how to do it, but it's kind of like we got to show different sides of everything, because we all come from different sides, different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so really, if we and with a city like as big as this, being another large city in America, there's so much more that we have to give, especially through talent and music.
Yes, indeed. And listening to your music, your creations, the experiences that you put into that. How do you take those? You're sitting down. How do you take those and mold them? How have you been able to mold?
It's pretty much kind of like the way it's molded is kind of like in a foreshadowing type of way.
Okay.
So like I think a lot of times when I'm like writing a song or just coming up with an idea, a concept, I feel like most of the times it's like for the name prophetic poet, you know what I'm saying? A prophet is somebody who's able to see something far along before it actually comes to present day fruition.
Okay.
So it's like when I'm writing stuff, I kind of notice that certain things that I'll say in my music will have like a after effect that happens in my actual life, where it's like, I talked about this and seen this, or gave a glimpse of this, to be like, oh, now I can see that in actual real time, like to where it makes it like your words actually come to life once they leave the paper.
Okay.
You know.
Yes, indeed. Because you in that age group that came up in the early '90s, 2000.
I would say the 2010 era.
2010 era.
Yeah.
Okay, and we had a lot of in Chicago. We had a lot of, for lack of the drill.
Mm-hmm.
But that ain't seem to be your focus. That didn't.
No, it wasn't. Really, because really, to be honest with you, for all of us, for everybody in my age group, in the millennial generation,
Mm-hmm.
like we've all kind of really stuck with that, because that was a way of like what we seen and the type of life that a lot of people were living at a young age. But I would say for me the main thing was to try to deter, because I'm not trying to be like, the hardest dude out on the street, and you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. I really just wanted to have a chance to be able to show me and who I was, and really like, because of course everybody we all have somebody in our family or close friends who may be in that type of life, but that's not something that we personally want to put our efforts into. And I would just say for me, it's more like I grew up, a little bit differently. Like I had, older grandparents. It used to be Frankie Beverly. Yeah. It was a lot of Prince, a lot of Michael Jackson's, Temptations, Delphonics, the Spinners. 106.3, heard Kent the Cool J. Herbie, baby. So like I have a lot of old soul traits that I've also adapted and formulated with what is within my time frame as well.
Okay. So now, we in this, because I come out of the era where, our hip hop was that CI artists, we had that in magazines, and then we started coming to the video age. But now, the younger artists, yourself, you could make your, the video, this internet and social media, you don't even need to wait. And
you see, it's a funny thing that you say that, because it's kind of like, it's come to a point where it's like gatekeeping is supposed to not be a thing with those types of tools at hand, but it's like, even with those types of tools, there's still somebody that you got to go past, so there's still a certain margin that you got to get past. And in today's time, it's really an algorithm. If you fit in the algorithm of the internet, then pretty much they'll push you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, still, even though we have the resources to pretty much, be like, I can just grab my phone and shoot a video of me saying a couple lyrics and post it and put a filter onto it. It's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But then it's like, once you put it out there, how does it go farther than that? Because it's like, it's out, but like, who's really like checking for it?
So it's like when my era, in a sense, selling it out the trunk. You can only sell it out the trunk so far before you need to.
Yeah, it was a lot more analog work, where it's like you had to be at these these buildings downtown to meet these people walking in, and selling it out the trunk and going to each and every single venue, club, or whatever, just to get your music played, to really get a shot. Where it's like, now we can still do those same things, but with the help of the internet, it's kind of been like, you can have like a combined way of doing it, where it's like I could do a couple of shows, and then I could just go ahead and just be like, I'm gonna do this for the internet. Okay.
You mentioned the shows. So what has been your experience, getting your art out there to the masses on the stage? How's that process been for you in terms of, getting there, and showing?
So pretty much for me, it's really, I would just say the whole action of just getting out there and doing it. Because really the number one thing is, when you're doing a show, like the number one thing I feel like that keeps me focused with it is, these people came to see you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, if your name's on the roster and anything like that, somebody, maybe a couple people know you, maybe nobody knows you at all. But for the fact that your name is on that, roster to go ahead and do a show, if this is people's first time, getting introduced to you, give them something that's memorable. Yes, give them a piece of you where they can actually connect and be like, the key word of today's time, I identify with that. I can identify with what he's talking about and what he's pretty much portraying, because from tagging along with the drill thing, it's like, we don't really see too many people that's in this day and age drifting away from like the drill scene, where it's like, if you wanted to be on some Talib Kweli or Common type of rapping, where it's like, that still exists, but mainstream, that's not what people are really pushing. But it doesn't mean that even if people aren't pushing it, you still got people who always love that style of, hip hop or rap or anything.
Yeah, definitely. So when you take the stage, what are you trying to convey in a sense of, how's your approach? That's what I'm trying to get at. How's your approach to grabbing these ears and grabbing these minds?
My approach to it is pretty much literally, it's like something that I always say to myself. I use this phrase, nothing stops it meant to be. Mm-hmm. So anytime that I'm on stage or having a conversation with somebody, I always want to leave a memorable moment where they can look and be like, man, we see his story, and from whatever he expressed from when he spoke or when he went on stage, even with song selections that you're doing in a set list, to give people like that thing where it's like, we all want to have some type of great quote that we pretty much live by, or something that drives us, like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you hear that, you already know everything that entails with it. And with Nothing Stops It Meant to Be, it's like, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, good or bad, if it's meant to be, you can't stop it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And so, what kind of setbacks have you had dealing with this, though?
Setbacks that I
because I'm trying to create something people could look at when they're they listening to this, and I want them to understand that, because some people get up and like, oh, I just got out of my bed and fell into this and I'm success, but it's a story behind.
Right. For me, pretty much the story is literally just it started with just writing, like growing up in school, like having creative writing classes and stuff like that, and then like being one of the kids while I'm in school, if I'm in the back of the class, I'm either drawing in the notebook or not paying attention. And it just came one day where I was at home. I was around the age of between 15 and 16, and I had wrote my first piece.
Okay.
And then like after like reading it back to myself, it like completely blew my mind to the point where it's like, oh my God, I said that? Like I wrote that. Like, oh my God, if I could do that, then it's like I actually have a skill set to actually see where this goes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the only time that really gives you the inkling to keep doing something is when you see that other people really enjoy watching you do it. Okay. So it's like, if I make a song and 1 million people love it, it's going to encourage me to make more music, to be like, well, y'all like this, so it made me go back to the drawing board, because that right there is like the start of the fuel for a fire that will never die.
Yeah. And getting into that studio the first time, what was that like, though?
Getting into the studio the first time, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a super anxious moment, because it's like, you could say your lyrics or sing to yourself when you're in the house or in your car, and it's all cool, but then it's like, to know that there's somebody sitting at that chair and like listening to what you saying and how you sound, and it's like, dang, okay, like, because now when you say a verse or or do something, you kind of like thinking like, damn, like I wonder if the engineer thinks this is cool, like, you know what I'm saying? Because really it's just really, I would say a peak of interest. So you'll never really know what you have to say that might strike someone's ear until you say it. So it's kind of like you have to put it out there for people to really get a chance to be like, well, what's this about? Or what's to that? But the first time actually recording, it was an anxious thing, but it was like, I got this opportunity, I'm here, so let me do the best that I can. You know what I'm saying?
So you took that home and listened to it
over and over and over and over.
So did it translate from your head to listening to it? Like, did you?
Now, you see, the funny part about that is you will have the most wonderful thing that you hear in your head, but it's like, how does that translate from out of my mind to being able to be heard? And for me, it was kind of like, for certain songs I did, it was like, man, I ain't hear like this in my head. But then it's like, when doing it, it's kind of like you can create something totally different from what you had in your head. Because when you actually start doing it, you'll hear other things that go along with what you're actually doing in that exact moment. But I would say at first, I was kind of like, dang, I had this sounded like this in my head, and then like from talking to people and like having them listen to it, they're like, no, it's good, like, it's not bad, but it's like, as an artist, it's like perfection is like the biggest thing. It's like, no, it has to be like this. It has to be amazing. It has to be the best. It has to kill everything that's going on out here.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, it was an anxious moment, but I was pretty much grateful that I was finally had the opportunity to, at least, I can't be saying that, I make music and you don't have nothing
Right.
to listen to. So it was like, I need to have something.
So, but that didn't, listening to it, it did like, okay, I got to go back. Now I'm in this now.
Mm-hmm.
I done took that first step. Now I'm in this. Was you trying to do it every day? Like, did you catch that?
Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I really realized it became a natural obsession from that exact moment. It was like, because every day it's like, I'm listening to it, I'm listening to it, I'm listening to it, and it's like, I could have said this like that, or I could have took that out and said this, or I could have did that, or I could have just, let the instrumental beat breathe, and I could have came back when that dropped. You know what I'm saying? Because now makes you very meticulous, because now you really like map out and try to formulate how to really get better at songwriting. So it's like, I could either be amazing at freestyling or whatever the case may be, but the number one thing that I feel like is important to me is your songwriting skills.
Okay.
Because then it becomes a memorable thing, like when you like practice it so often, getting your it takes 11,000 hours to become a master or something.
Yeah,
So it's like every day just writing something, like strengthening the writing hand, like even if it wasn't a song or a poem or whatever the case may be, just journaling.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like keeping the writing hand strong and looking at how my writing changed the more I do it.
So it just wasn't like writing raps, it wasn't writing songs or hooks. It was poetry, just your thoughts pouring out.
Thoughts pouring out, emotions, because for me, writing is a very cathartic exercise.
Okay.
So it's like, when I get to write, it's like everything that's in my head gets to come out on paper to the point where it's like, things that I probably might not be at a moment to say to somebody in a passing conversation, I can have that conversation in these notebook pages. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I could probably read this and see it as if I'm not me and just like a regular reader reading it, to be like, oh, like, dang, I see, where he's going with his story and where he kind of feels this or feels that, to really get a full consensus of like what's going on in that person's head when they're saying these things or writing this.
Okay, because like that's an important thing, because at one point it seemed like people stopped writing and just came off the top of their head and just said anything.
And I really look at it like this. The ability to be able to freestyle is a God-given talent that nobody can take away from you, like I was just saying. But it's like, it comes to a point where when you do that on a song, you don't remember what you said. So it's kind of like, if you can't even really spit that back, if you're performing that or, doing that, then it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, of course you could do that in any kind of way or format, but for me, I feel like freestyling is more of a performative thing. Like it's like, oh, you spit a quick 16, and it's like you just go ahead. But then it's like when people listen to the music, or listen to the songs, it has to be like a story. It has to be a concept. It has to be themes that really draw the listener in to be like, I can connect with this artist or identify with the artist as well.
Yes, indeed. So what kind of books you reading to also supplement what you're writing? Because listening to your music, it seems like it's, you got a well-rounded.
Yes. I would say books that I've read, I can't think if this is the right name of it. It's been a while, but I read a book called Men Are in the Sky.
Okay.
Pretty much anything that went, most African American, like, emancipation, anything like that, to really get a understanding of pain and struggle.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's like the immediate way, if I can understand it as a black man, from just looking at history. And I would just say, mainly for me, growing up, I did have the right people that had certain things. Like my grandmother, she used to be a Black Panther.
Okay.
So pretty much at 10 years old, she used to play NDRE a lot.
Okay.
And so she used to always, that one song, like, it doesn't cost a thing to smile.
Okay.
You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. And it's like, at 10, I couldn't understand, like, well, what do you really mean by that? But it's like, now I get it. Like, it don't cost nothing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh.
Yeah.
That's something that you can, what I'm saying? And it really starts clicking, like, so this is why y'all was saying certain things, because, a lot of people even, like I had my grandfather used to always tell me as well, he's like, when the adults used to say all these crazy old sayings, we used to think they was crazy. But, for me, I never thought it was crazy. I really tried to understand, like, what do you mean by that?
Okay.
Like, what does that mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm feeling like you saying something and I'm
not catching it.
Not catching it, and it's like I need to catch it or else. And it's like, okay, like, what do you mean by that?
So your grandmother being a Black Panther, what did she instill in you? Or the lessons that she left you?
I would say the main lessons that she gave me was confidence.
Okay.
Like, confidence is a stain that you can't wipe off, and it's the number one thing that people recognize when they see you. Like, how do you stand? How do you know what I'm saying? How do you walk? How do you speak? You know what I'm saying? Like, it all leaves, a lasting impression, because first impression means everything.
Yes.
And just really being able to dissect and really take a second to think about things, not like the average person, because as an average person, whatever somebody shows you is whatever you're going to run with. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a person who took a second time to be like, let me look into that a little bit more, to really like have something, because really I feel like anybody can tell you anything until you actually do the research yourself to be able to know.
Okay.
Which is something that I feel like when I was in high school, most of the teachers would always say that. They would always say, don't just take my word for it. Do your research, because of course we want you to do your homework and everything like that. But it's like, there's something that I probably could have said that I missed, but you caught and was like, hey teacher, no, did you know about this? You know what I'm saying? Because I always feel like in a school setting, like, not only is the teacher supposed to teach and instill certain things in you, but you should also be teaching the teacher, because that helps them enhance their teaching and see with particular students and stuff. So,
that back and forth, that, hey teacher, I learned this. Let me, you left this, you might have missed this in the lesson. Let me supplement that.
You know what I'm saying?
That, I guess that'll make a better classroom, because now we're having a better dialogue.
Absolutely.
And stuff. Because, with the things that's going on in the world today, we're 2025, and it seems like some of the people are disconnected from, they see that struggle of the 60s, the 70s, and slavery as distant past, but on the timeline of history, that's a short period of time. And so, do you feel that this is necessary to put in your music, in your, not everything has to be these lessons, but is that a part of?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is a part, because I feel like, as just a lot of people have said, you got to know where you come from to know where you're going. So it's kind of like with Prophetic Poet, it's like me asking myself a question, like, in future and in past tense, like, whatever I think right now, would I be able to have that same conversation with me 10 years ago? Just like 10 years from now, can me in this version of me from the future have the same conversation? And what would be the prospects and different points out of all three of those timelines, from past, present to then future? Like, I'm here right now, and I know everything that I'm thinking and everything that I know right now. Can I have that conversation to me where I probably wasn't in that space to look at things more openly, or in a space where it's like, when I'm older, where I should have a more broad view of looking at things, and how do I actually evolve and change myself as a person, and the personal growth and development that I pretty much endure and go through. So I do think it's it's about tracking yourself.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying, like, with anything, like if you were trying to go on a weight loss journey, or if you were trying to, do whatever, it's like, track your progress and see where you have come, because at the end of the day, you're always going to be in the present going through it, but when we have this conversation years from now, that's the future, but it's present. You know what I'm saying? Because we have this talk now, but it's like, you know, in that sense.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So where does the fun come in your music? Where does, you know, do you have fun?
Absolutely. You see, the fun part is when you actually making the music. Like, cause I get excited when I see the microphone, when I'm in the booth, when it's like, you know, like just doing warm-ups to get my voice ready. It's like the fun part is really just being able to make the music and really just enjoy the creation that you're making, to be able to say, it went from an idea to where it got wrote down on paper, and then it got finalized by recording it, and then now I can listen to it, because it's like, for me, like, I completely love music as a whole. So it's like, and then especially hearing myself, and then knowing that, you know, you're getting better. You know what I'm saying? So the funnest part about it is getting behind that booth and just letting it out.
So what do you consider your magnum opus song? What is if people want to hear the song that you think that, what is the song you think that people will listen to from you and just be like, I got a picture of where he's going with it?
I would say one song that, I think there's a lot, but I think, like, for me,
Okay, give me a couple.
It's always kind of like is it this, or should I say, you know what I'm saying? But I would say one song that I personally feel that gives a nice glimpse into me is a song I had on my first album, self-titled Prophetic Poet, released in 2018. The name of the track is called Summertime Shy.
Okay.
Where it's pretty much talking about growing pains at that time, because I was in my early 20s at that time when making that project, and a lot of things had changed in my life. Like, I became a father, and you know, was going through the adjustment of that, and there was a lot of things that I kind of felt like at that point in time I was kind of growing apart from, because now it's like I have, you know, great power with great responsibility now, but then it's kind of like everything that I was kind of aware and, you know, comfortable with started to become something that I had to go into, like, this metamorphosis to grow from.
Okay.
So, like, from old thoughts, old ideas, just to, in retrospect, to grow into something better. But at the same point in time, it's like, you know, you have attachment, so it's kind of like, like, how can I let go of this and do, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, I've been around this so long, and it's not like I can just cold turkey cut it, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, not just so much of a cold turkey cut it, but to gradually excel, because I really do feel like personal growth, especially within my music, is something that I really try to explain and convey.
Okay, because you say, how many albums do you have?
Just one. I have one album, and I have one EP.
Okay, one album, one EP. So within that first album, then an EP, that growth, do you feel like it was?
I feel like at that point, it was like there was an adrenaline rush, and I had so much that was like just ready to come out. You know what I'm saying? It's like an unsupervised 2-year-old. It's like they're running everywhere, and they have and it's like, you know, you have all of these different things and different ideas. And I would say because the album and the EP came about like 6 to 7 months between each other.
Okay.
So the album came like late at the latter end of 2018, and the EP came close to the summer of 2019.
Okay.
So I would say that adrenaline rush and everything that I kind of had, because like the album was like a testament for me to see what I was really capable of.
Okay.
And to really just give this story, like, again, not trying to be a super preachy, you know, we gotta be like this or anything, but just to be like, it's a different narrative, because it's like at that time somebody in their early 20s wouldn't have made an album like that.
Okay.
Because we're so used to hearing drill music that when you do anything that's kind of outside of that, it's kind of like people don't really know how to take it, because normally we always get, you know, more aggressive, fast-paced music. But then when you get somebody who's like, yeah, we got that, but check this out. Because now it's like we have to, again, have a balanced diet. If we have too much of one thing, we'll lose sight of everything else. And then if you don't exercise this, like how people have always said, if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Okay.
So for me, I just felt like a change in narrative and perspective to really show a side of Chicago that maybe people are not really too familiar with, but it's always been right in their backyard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So summertime in the Chi, right? Describe that for people.
You know, I think it's the best city in America, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when it's hot outside, everybody kicks it at the lake, you know what I'm saying? You can, you know, hit your little tree, you know what I'm saying? And you could just really, you know, try to have fun, but it's kind of like in this day and time, it's a little bit differently saying that, because, you know, like from how everybody else looks at Chicago, it's like, you can have fun? Like, all I hear is death, destruction, turmoil, and it's like, yeah, we do have that, but at the same point in time, I feel like, again, we should, the other sides of that where those things don't really happen, not saying that they're still not prevalent and, you know, present, but it's like, there are times in Chicago where you can go to a party, have fun, and don't nobody get shot or anything like that, or where you can have a decent group of friends and not have to worry about certain things coming in between you guys. Like, there are good people out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I really feel like the narrative should be like, if we keep talking about stuff that we don't like so much, but keep participating in it, then do we really not like it? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I've never tried to be something that I'm not, because it's like, I'm not doing a service to myself, and then on top of that, anybody who can look at me would be like, yeah, he's not like that for real. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, instead of trying to force myself to be something I'm not, rather just stay in the lane and cultivate that. Yes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do feel like that balanced diet is a very important thing, because it's like for the past 10 plus years, you know what I'm saying, we've been on a drill dominated wave. So it's like, if anybody else kind of comes outside of those parameters, it's kind of like, well, how do we really look at this?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So here you come, and I'm gonna give you given that not even alternative, but check this out. While you looking over here, check this out over here.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, hey, I'm painting this other picture, you know, it's you know, you take off the morning clothes, and you know, we're gonna go over here and build a new day.
Yeah, it really like a line from Common, like, you don't take the whole day to recognize sunshine. So it's pretty much like and in a sense, like Christmas morning when you're up early and trying to get presents, and it's one thing under that tree that you really, really want.
Yeah.
But then you still got some other gifts, but it's like, oh no, I got this, I'm all good. But then it's like, little do you know, the other gift could probably be something that benefits you in ways that you would have never even imagined. So it's really kind of like not allowing yourself to be blinded just by certain things. So it's kind of like, even with people, with conversations, like, sometimes you can be talking to somebody and they'll take that one thing that you said and then nothing else registers. And it's like, out of all that I just said, that's the only thing?
Yeah, but that could be a good or bad, because they could take that one thing and it could spark them to.
Now, idealistically, yes, but 9 times out of 10,
it's not. It's going the other way.
It's going straight left field. Straight left field.
Yeah, and then they're surprised. You be like, you know what? That one thing you said made me get up and.
You know what I'm saying? Which is what it'd be kind of like, I was like, does that thing really happen for real, or is that just in the movies where it's like they say that one thing and it's like.
No, actually, it happened to me one time. The guy, we was at work, and the guy said, you know, we was talking the other day, you said this and that got them to thinking. So sometimes that you plant those seeds and it might grow or it might just,
Well, it really, another thing too, timing. It just may not be the time where that seed was ready to sprout into that tree.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So pretty much it's either it takes off or, it doesn't register or it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So at this point, where you taking your projects, where you taking your talents, what are you doing with it right now?
Right now, pretty much pushing it out as much as possible and really just trying to really make Prophetic Poet a household name. Like,
Okay.
it comes from a very strong city. Again, I feel like this is the greatest city in America. And to really just show, like, Chicago has we have a very pristine way of dominating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Which is what I feel like a lot of people don't really know. Like, we really can, like, make waves, trends, and all of that. And a lot of the stuff that people kind of say in other places kind of came from Chicago originally. But
and a lot of the music, even the old music, a lot of it came from Chicago.
Because especially with the drill thing, it's like, man, we got New York drill, we got UK drill, but this is where it came from. So it's like, no matter what anybody says, like, we have people that have set trends that everybody else will follow.
From blues to gospel to R&B to hip hop to dance music
to rock and pop.
Yeah, so definitely, Chicago is that base, and also those points that, like they said, all roads lead to Rome. All the music leads to Chicago. Chicago leads to all of the music. And so where can people get your music?
They can pretty much get my music on all platforms. You can type in the name Prophetic Poet. I'm your friendly neighborhood Chicagoan, and you can find me right there.
Yes, indeed. So, what's coming up next in terms of, you got EP coming?
What's coming up next is I do have a couple of singles that I have worked with fellow collaborators, but a big thing that for me personally that I'm doing is cultivating this album.
Okay.
It's an album called Growing Up. So I kind of feel like when saying that, and which is why I like to really expound on it when talking about it, because it's like when people think of growing up, it's like such a broad topic. Like, oh, you grow up, you used to be a kid, you're a teenager, you're grown now, and you're grown up. But it's like, what does that really look like, and how do you really talk about growing up, really? You know what I'm saying? To the point where it's like, in my opinion, I don't really feel like we ever stop growing up.
No.
Because it's like, even as you get older, you're still growing up and you're seeing different things and, different parameters of what happens even when you get older. So it's pretty much off of that same aspect. Like, if anything that I've experienced personally or have seen vicariously through other people and have a conversation about it, how that can relate to somebody else, because it shows, again, changing the narrative. Like, if I'm in this city and I have thoughts like this and think like this, I can't be the only person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it connects with people in a way where growing up is a nostalgic thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you really delve into that, give the raw, uncut version. Okay. Don't sugarcoat it, give every single thing, because there's been a lot of things that we've seen out of everybody's lifetime that's kind of been like, yeah, this is what it was. Yeah. But it's like, not to be on a sad note or a high note, but it's just like, it's life in general. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nobody comes out of it alive. So it's like, really just before anything else, really give a glimpse, because I think it's a good thing to come from, it's a good thing from the last album, from showcasing the skill and seeing what I was able to do to where I really go into a more personal notion with this album.
And so, a second ago, you said something about collaborations. Do you like to collaborate? Or are you more of a...
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm not gonna lie. I have it's wishy washy because I do like the act of being able to collab because I feel like it broadens out you and another artist because now at this point in time, like their fans could be your fans could be their fans, and you both can grow collectively. I do think in Chicago we do have some of that, but not nearly enough because it's kind of like whoever got their group or their clique, that's it. And it's like Drake, no new friends. And it's like, but we're all sitting up here trying to do the same thing. But I do feel like in this city, it's a lot of big headedness. So it's kind of like if somebody feels like, they're better than you or something like that, because I have had situations where it's kind of like, I do music with somebody and we get the song done, but it's like it never like comes to fruition for a release. So it's kind of like, what's going on with that? Or like, why didn't we, I'm saying that in all this time has passed, and so it's kind of like, the stuff I was talking about then, it's not gonna relate to contemporary now. Yeah. So it's
putting
like,
it out 2-3 years.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when doing that, it kind of makes it like, are we really going to do something and have a finished product, or is it just, being able to work with people? Because for me personally, I'm not really keen to group projects because, like, growing up in school, everybody's didn't have that experience where everybody's supposed to be doing one particular thing for the group project, and it's just always that one person that the day we presented, they're like, I'll just write my name on it real quick.
And take all the credit.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's in music too.
Right. Like, you do the hook, the verse, the bridge, and the chorus, and make the beat, and they put me as the feature on there.
Then you get it back, like, you do feature, and they done made themselves the star.
You know what I'm saying? And really, because I've even had situations like that where I did a song with somebody that they were supposed to be featured on, but I ended up being the person featured on the song, and they took it as theirs, and it was like, you know what I'm saying? But
so that kind of, that's the bad side of collaborating.
Because it's really just, I would say with collaboration, it's just really knowing who you are, who you're supposed to be collaborating with.
Okay. Because, the last few years I've been hearing that word tossed around on collaborating with this. And then, but what about the soul side? Is that more of your...
Now, I do feel like after hearing it so long in life, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. Now, it can be difficult, frustrating, but it is like the best things that you want is kind of going to have to be on your own, because everybody does have their own personal interest, and you have yours. Now, for me, a lot of times, I like to look at things as a collective, and, for the greater good, for, this helps not only me, but it helps them, and it helps them, and everybody else gets something out of it. While you can be that type of person, the people that you do have around you, and mainly 9 times out of 10, you may have a bad experience because it's kind of like, it's incentivized for you to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially with social media and everything always having a negative connotation to it. Like, you can't work with people because then they gonna hate on you, or you can't do this with people, and then it's kind of like, well, what avenue am I supposed to take?
Because you're an artist, you're trying to get the art out.
Because, and again, as an artist, any moment that you have to showcase there's a door of opportunity or a window of opportunity. So if I have a window of opportunity to work with you, and I'm looking at it as, I'm getting to work with you, we can build a rapport, and maybe in the future we can have other songs that we make together. Well, they may not have that, and it's just like, I did this song with this person, but from the mentality, it's kind of like everybody feels like, better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you. But then it's like when somebody hears the song, it's like, nah, he killed you on that. He killed you on that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, and in a sense though, it should be, we learning from each other. We trying to...
Steel sharpen steel.
Yeah, but I think that with the social media and people want to get likes and engagement, that they forget sometimes in these collaborations that the goal is to make a solid product,
Right.
that so when people listen to it, they don't want to hear them again.
Right.
I'll go see them at a show, or like now it's like I'm just want to go see him for this verse. Now you just got a verse. You gonna do that verse and then what?
And you see, and the craziest thing that I've always seen for me is it could be a song that somebody knows somebody on, and somebody else could be on the song or whoever else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I have seen a lot of times where people be like, "Oh no, I skip all this just to hear him." Like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be like, damn, like I thought the song was good as that. No, he alright, but I came here to hear him. So when I heard him, it was like, all right, I don't need to hear nothing else. And it was like dang, to the point where it's like, it kind of like puts you in the understanding of like the person who's the listener, like, yeah, because at the same point in time, it could be favoritism, you know what I'm saying, bias. But, I kind of feel like, man, look, everybody do their whole thing on the song, at least give everybody a chance, you know what I'm saying? So I can, because that does bring friction within people, because then it's like, oh, everybody just keeps skipping to hear your verse or something like that. Now these people ain't gonna like you, and then they ain't gonna want to work with you no more. They feel like you taking the shine.
So, I guess the goal is to just do your thing and
do your thing, yeah.
Do your thing, So, y'all out there listening, take heed to some of these lessons, because, you got a lot of people now trying to get into the industry and running into these roadblocks and bump their heads. It's people out here who experience these things, and, this is my whole point, is when I do these things is to educate people, because, a lot of times you don't see behind the scenes. All you see is the glitz and the glitter, and
you see the finished product
and the drama and the distractions on the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the artist getting lost. The artist is getting lost. The artwork is getting lost by all the side trappings.
Like all of the semantics is what gets talked about, but not the actual thing that's the focal point of what we're supposed to be looking at. So it's like, even now, to the same point of like when people hear you're a rapper from Chicago, that's there's a stereotype image that you have in your head when you hear that, because it's, you know what I'm saying. So it's like when somebody says that, they're thinking, a black kid, some chains on, he got dreads, and he talks like this, he walks like that. But then if you see somebody who's not like that, then it's kind of like, some people even be like, is he even really from Chicago? And they'd be like,
you from O Block?
You know what I'm saying?
That's
it's
the
like
thing.
These are the only questions that get asked. So it's kind of like everybody doesn't operate that way. But that is what gets pushed in mainstream media.
Yeah. So what you're trying to do is give them something else.
Right. Absolutely.
And how do you feel that you're coming across?
I feel that I'm coming across in the honest way of how I can truthfully explain it. I feel like it comes across positively and negatively. So I feel like it's always a half and half type of thing. So it's like people who are listening to the music and everything, they'll enjoy the music. And then it's like, when really looking at the message behind it, it's kind of like, again, when you kind of make music that has some type of message in it, people think that you're kind of preaching to them, because, it's like, we just want to be able to hear something that sounds good that we can even dance to a bump in the whip. But it's like, certain people, from what I can say that I understand, are not really open to seeing a lot of new things, because they want to stick with what they know. But then at the same point in time, it has to be some sort of growth in that as well. So like for me, like again, to the growth thing, I feel like you're not going to like change and growth because it forces you to have to be something else.
Yeah.
Or to not even just be something else, but it forces some type of uncomfortability in you.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, a lot of times when people see that or go through that, it kind of makes them like shy away because, like, again, like from the song I was saying, Summertime Shots, it's a growing pain.
Okay.
Like some people I do feel like are ready to kind of do different things, but for the fact that repetitively and in daily routine they've been doing this, it's hard.
Yeah.
But I do say that I have had mostly positive reactions and probably just a couple of naysayers. But
Okay, but you know that you take that criticism if it's valid, you
absolutely,
you do something. But if it's you.
Because you see, for me, I want people to tell me the truth. Tell me the truth when you hear this. Is it good, bad? Is it whack? Is it hot? Tell me the truth so I can really get it right.
Because the goal is to get better.
That's all I'm trying to do.
The goal is to get better and to, give you this art.
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect.
That's why that's the number one thing is that don't hold the art back.
Mm-hmm.
The distractions will be there. The focus should be the art.
Absolutely.
The art. So what do you want to leave the people with?
What I would want to leave the people with
before we get out of here.
Man, look, it's a fantastic Friday today. I hope that everybody who's tuned in and listening is feeling good and trying to be as fantastic as they possibly can. And to remember that no matter what you may be going through, good or bad, you live every day to, fight again. Every day above ground is a good one. And to really understand that nothing stops a meant to be. No matter what happens, good or bad, if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. So nothing stops it meant to be. That for sure.
Yes, indeed. Give them your name and project, and then we're going to get out of here.
Man, it's your friendly neighborhood Chicagoan prophetic poet here with you guys today. Got a new song coming out on the 28th, next Friday, actually, called Don't Tell Me, a little R&B, heartbreak, toxic love type of song that I feel like people can resonate with when they hear it. And you can follow me on all platforms. I'm mainly on Instagram at _prophetic poet.
Okay. Wait a minute. You gotta describe that song. You just dropped it like heartbreak and toxic. Wait, before we get it, describe the song.
Okay. The song description. The name of the song is "Don't Tell Me." The main hook line in that is "Don't tell me you lied."
Okay.
So pretty much the song is talking about a situation where if you've ever been in a relationship and everything's not always candy coated rims, so it's kind of like giving a raw truth where it's kind of like, how do you react when somebody that you really put on this pedestal or have this way of looking at them, how do you react if they lie to you about something?
Okay.
So it's like, even in a relationship, it's like you'd hate to feel like all the love was a lie. You'd hate to feel like the living life with this person was a lie. You'd hate to find out that something that they kept from a secret from you that you thought was this, and then it may not be. And really just anybody who's ever run through a situation like that where it's kind of like, everybody does not like to be lied to. So it's pretty much coming from a place where it's like, if you are in that state of bliss or la la land, you know what I'm saying? Like feeling like everything is good, and then when you actually come across to see something that may not be what you thought it was.
And I think 98% of the people will relate to that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty much something that's a reflection, because even as an artist, I'm still a regular person as anybody else. So it's like, I'm not safe from it. So it's
nobody's safe
from it. So it's pretty much like just expressing that and really, raw, emotional, and vulnerable. Okay. So pretty much I do feel like that track, Don't Tell Me, comes out next Friday, March 28th, and it'll be out for everybody to listen to and enjoy.
Okay. Something nice for the spring.
Absolutely. Got more stuff on the way as well,
Definitely. So yes, indeed. Thank you for coming through and and spending time with us.
Absolutely, no problem.
And,
thank you for having me.
it's man, you done. I'm looking forward to that song.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that one.